everybody? It's JetsCentral coming back with breaking NFL news, right? A huge hire just took place, and it's the Dallas Cowboys hiring Mike McCarthy, right? They found their new head coach. They obviously parted ways with Jason Garrett, longtime Cowboys head coach, and they went with McCarthy. And I got to be 100% honest with you. I really like this hire. Looking at that division, it's by far the worst division in football. The Cowboys have underperformed. The Redskins are no threat at all, or have been no threat at all. The Giants have just been a complete joke. And then the Eagles, I don't want to say, I will give credit to the Eagles because, they did win the division this season with the injuries, and we even saw Carson Wentz go down yesterday in the playoff game. Josh McCown stepped in, and they still battled against the Seattle Seahawks, who are a fantastic team. But nonetheless, McCarthy's coming in with organization, with structure, to a team that really hasn't had a lot of that in recent years. There's always been kind of the sense that Jerry is in charge and Jason Garrett doesn't really have a say. He's just kind of the puppet, and Jerry Jones is kind of the puppet master, if you will. Nobody really. That's kind of, and granted, I didn't play for the Cowboys. I didn't work for the Cowboys. I didn't know this. I don't know this as to be a fact, so I don't take this as like the word of God here. But rumor has it, all the players, just nobody really respected Jason Garrett. They liked him. I do still think that Jason Garrett is a good football mind. I think he could pick up an offensive coordinator job somewhere, maybe not this upcoming season, but I do think Jason Garrett would be a nice piece to a team with a struggling offense, because I do think he's a smart individual that knows football. I just think it's a very, very, very difficult situation to coach under Jerry Jones, and for that franchise, with all the fans, with all the pressure, with all the external pressures around you. So I still do like Jason Garrett, and I wish him nothing but the best. He was never he never rubbed me the wrong way. It was just the continued average seasons, right? The 8-8, the 7-9s, and so on and so forth. Even though he did win some divisions and stuff like that. Had a couple great playoff games, against Green Bay and stuff, but. And you can make the argument they should have beat Green Bay in Lambeau Field with like the Dez Bryant catch and stuff like that. So, Jason Garrett, I think will be fine, and I do think he does deserve another job, even though that's not the popular opinion, especially according to people on Twitter, where people will freak out if you say, "Oh, Jason Garrett deserves another shot somewhere." I do think he can be an offensive coordinator, but as far as McCarthy goes, incredible hire by Dallas. Like I said, you're bringing in organization, you're bringing in structure. Now all of a sudden, I think Jerry Jones has to defer some of his power to Mike McCarthy, right? You cannot jump the head coach and go straight to the owner if you have a problem, right? Zeke Elliott, Dak Prescott, whoever it may be, maybe you have a situation with Amari Cooper, like a Dez Bryant, who knows? There has to be some hierarchy of power. You can't just... Jerry Jones can't just be friends with Ezekiel Elliott and then undercut the head coach, because then other players see that. What power does the head coach actually have? Nobody knows. Everybody already knows that McCarthy wouldn't really have any power at all. So it's just this big, confusing mess. If I was running the Dallas Cowboys, if I was, higher up than Jerry Jones in some facet, I would tell Jerry, back off of football operations. Let you and your son can run the front office and stuff like that. But as far as giving these press conferences after games, like of everyone, just take a step back, deviate some of that power away, let McCarthy do his thing. McCarthy has won games, he has lost games, he's done it for a really long time. He took a year off of football to study, to kind of relax, and to really just gather his thoughts and create a new system, right? There was actually a rumor that came out like a while ago that Mike McCarthy, it's not like this guy was sitting on his couch just watching TV throughout his year of not coaching. He actually hired a team of six people around the NFL to watch tape, to gather information, to come up with a brand new playbook. It actually reminds me of what Mike Pettine did a couple years ago. Got fired from the Cleveland Browns as a head coach. Obviously, he still wanted to be a coach, and when he worked for the Seattle Seahawks, he wasn't like a secondary coach or anything like that. It didn't really have a title. He just went to Seattle to learn the system, to learn under Pete Carroll, and now he resurfaced, interestingly enough, in Green Bay, or ironically enough, McCarthy's old spot. Actually, I think McCarthy hired Mike Pettine, and Matt LaFleur just kept him on the staff. Yeah, so that's what happened. But anyway, let's see what happens. I love this hire, especially like I said in that division. And to be honest with you, it has to make you scratch your head, right? If you're Carolina, if you're Cleveland or the Giants, you're kind of running out of options here, okay? Because that's 3 more vacancies, right? Because we all know Rivera went with Washington, and now McCarthy's going to Dallas. We got 3 more vacancies left. A couple guys, just names to watch. Matt Rule coming out of Baylor. People keep talking about Lincoln Riley and Urban Meyer. I'm not so sold on those guys at all, especially at the pro level. I'm way more convinced that Matt Rule will have some sort of success. We also have Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator from Kansas City. We have Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator from the 49ers, even though I think that'd just be a disastrous hire if he goes to a Cleveland. And then I'm looking, I really thought that the top 2 guys, not to be like that guy, who are the 2 older guys with experience, because you guys know I'm not really wired like that, but it just kind of happened to turn out that way, that Mike McCarthy and Ron Rivera were my 2 favorite coaches heading into the offseason, or available coaches, rather, for teams. And I thought the Cowboys knocked it out of the park, and I think the Redskins knocked it out of the park. So we got the Giants, we got the Browns, and we got the Panthers with all vacant spots. This video's kind of gone on 6.5 minutes here. Quick little last point. I guess I can just do it. I'll do perfect fits. Okay, I'll do perfect fits. Let's start off with the Browns. I really thought that Mike McCarthy would have been a fantastic, fantastic fit for Cleveland. If I had to say, I'd probably say it's going to be Josh McDaniels in Cleveland. And I'm not the biggest McDaniels fan at all. I don't like what he did in Denver. I don't like what he did to the Colts. And I've always thought he's been a bit overrated, because when you're working with Tom Brady, when you're working under Bill Belichick, I mean, how bad can you possibly be, or how good can you possibly be? We don't really know. We've seen coach after coach after coach come from the Belichick tree. I'm not really so sold on McDaniels, to be honest with you. But the Cleveland Browns like him, and the Cleveland Browns do want to, see what they're inquiring about Josh McDaniels, right? And rumor has it McDaniels, he really loves Baker Mayfield. And I still do love Baker Mayfield. I still think he could be a very, very good quarterback in this league. It's just the dysfunction around the team with the Haslams and Odell Beckham and, Dorsey and Freddie Kitchens and everybody underperforming and everybody arguing and the commercials. It's just like one thing after another. They just kind of have to get back to basics. And honestly, look at some of the teams across the league that have kind of adapted I hate saying this, but the Patriot way, right? Like the Tennessee Titans, John Robinson, Mike Vrabel, even, trickles down to some of the players, Logan Ryan, Malcolm Butler, Deion Lewis, right? They're trying to take the Patriots culture and shift it over to, other teams. It hasn't really worked out that way in Detroit, guys like Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. And they're doing the same exact thing, trickling down to the players, Trey Flowers and stuff. But I do think it's a good idea, right? Atlanta, Thomas Dimitroff and all these different guys. Like, I can understand why an organization would want to bring or adapt the Patriot way to their own city, their respective cities. But at the end of the day, I do think Bill Belichick is the mastermind behind it. So McDaniels to Cleveland. I don't think it's going to be a Lincoln Riley or an Urban Meyer or something like that, where they're going to, especially a Lincoln Riley, who's going to leave like a top 5 college job, who's had a ton of success at Oklahoma. Oklahoma already dominates the Big 12 in recruiting, and they pretty much own the entire middle of the country in recruiting. So I don't think Lincoln Riley's going to go. So if I had to say, it's probably Josh McDaniels for Cleveland. If I'm looking at, man, this is tough. These last 2 guys, because the top 2 guys, like, I thought McCarthy or Rivera were perfect fits for the New York Giants. I do think Matt Rule will go, I'm going to say, to the Giants. It's almost like storybook at this point. Everybody keeps saying, oh, he wants to go to a New York team. He's from New York. He actually was on the Giants staff at one point. Obviously, he spent a lot of time at Temple and now at Baylor. I'm going to say Matt Rule to the Giants, even though it's kind of not like the Mariners to go out and hire like a young coach from college, kind of unproven. I feel like the Mariners they would prefer to hire a more veteran head coach. And I think at the end of the day, the Carolina Panthers are going to be hiring Eric Bieniemy because they've interviewed him twice. They really like what he's had to say, and they're probably going to go in a different direction as a franchise. Right, Rivera was the staple of that franchise for a very, very long time. Hard defense, run the ball. Cam Newton, just try not to make mistakes. I think they want to open up the offense a little bit more. And what better candidate right now, if you're, the Carolina Panthers owner, to get or to really just handpick a guy off of the Kansas City Chiefs staff. I mean, look at the success of Andy Reid disciples over the years: Todd Bowles, Doug Peterson, Matt Nagy. Right, all three of those guys became head coaches. One of them even won a Super Bowl. Right, so, and by the way, they're also picking top 10. So there's a very, very good chance that they could pick their quarterback in the future, stash him on Cam Newton for a year, because I don't really believe in Will Grier and I don't really believe in Kyle Allen as long-term starters. So maybe Justin Herbert, who knows? Maybe that's a mock draft, little spoiler right there. But yeah, so Bieniemy to the Panthers, Matt Rule to the Giants, and Josh McDaniels to the Browns. So those are the quick little 3 predictions. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Incredible hire by Mike McCarthy, or by the Dallas Cowboys to hire McCarthy. I love it. I'm really, really pumped up to see what the offense is going to look like. So I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, go Jets.